Hello everybody, in this video we are going to talk about the underground stem. But before talking about the underground stem, let us first understand what is the difference or how can we understand when the plant contains an underground stem or when it contains a root. So let us look at some points of differentiation. These points of differentiation are not special, they are just the difference between a stem and a root. So first of all it will be that the stem bears the nodes and internodes, as always I am telling in the previous videos, and the root do not bear them. So let me write it down. Stem has nodes and internodes. Next is that root do not bear generally leaves or buds, but stem bears them. Okay, so if you find buds or leaves developing underground, then it must develop from a stem. Okay, so let me see. Stem bears leaves and buds. Next, as we always know that the root cap is a special structure which is present at the root, but it is not present in a stem. What does the root cap do? Let me explain it if this term is completely new for you. The root cap actually helps the root to penetrate to the soil. Since the soil has enough friction, then the tip of the root can get damaged when the root is penetrating through the soil. So the presence of the root cap prevents this from happening. But the stem, as it doesn't penetrate the soil, do not have such a protection to protect its apical most point. So let me write down. Okay, so stem do not contain root cap. Last but not the least, the difference between the stem and the root can be that the stem shows exogenous branching, but the root do not show exogenous branching. So let me write stem shows exogenous branching. Pretty well. So that was the difference between underground stem and root, to differentiate between an underground stem and a root. So let us dive into the classification of the underground stem. So if we look at it, we can find that underground stem can be classified into 5 types. What are those 5 types? Let us enlist them first. Okay, so the first one is the sucker. Sucker. Next is the rhizome. Rhizome. The next one is the corm. We will talk about them one by one in this video, and I have some pictures over here with me, so it will be easier for you to understand. So first let's start by enlisting them. The next one will be, yes, the bulb, as seen in the onion bulb. And last one, the fifth one, will be the stem tubers. Alright, so stem tubers. So let me yes. So well and good, let us understand them one by one. What is a sucker? Okay, in the sucker what happens is underground stem develops at first and it grows for up to a certain distance horizontally, and then it rises obliquely and then forms a new plant. And this sucker helps a plant to vegetatively reproduce also. Let us see how. So if this is a plant, let me draw a rough diagram of the plant. It should just look like a plant. The diagram should not be, the diagram is not important that much. Okay, let's say this is the plant. Okay, and some part of the stem is obviously present underground, since we are talking about the underground stem, right? And then the fibrous root will obviously originate from the lower part of the stem. What happens is that from the underground portion of the stem, a branch develops which grows horizontally for some distance and then rises up obliquely here, and then it just forms another plant of the same species. So just the plant reproduces, you can see, by this forming this circle like structure. But how do this plant means the question is that, do this parent plant and the daughter plant always remain connected like this? No. When this plant will get mature a little bit, then this connection will break off from the internodal area, and I have not mentioned over here, let me mention that as this branch will grow, this branch will root at intervals. Okay, so you may think that how come the plant have no roots, and then if it is separated from the parent plant, then how can it survive? But it has roots. So what can be the examples of suckers? So let me write which structure I am referring to as the sucker. This structure which has developed from this underground portion of the stem is called the sucker. Pretty easy. I hope you are understanding. Okay, this is the sucker. So what are some examples of the sucker? Examples can be, let me write over here. Okay, examples can be chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum is a scientific name, so as always I should make it in italics since I am making it computer typed. And then Manatha or Mentha as you pronounce it, Mentha, and it is present somewhat in the banana plant also. So banana, but the sucker present in the banana plant is known by a different name, as we will see later, as we will see now. So let us see some pictures. I have put the pictures in a separate window. Let me open it. You can see these pictures, we are going to discuss about them. Let us focus on this picture over here. In this picture shows a pretty good diagram of the sucker. You can see quite well that this is the main stem, and under the ground, under the soil, this structure which has developed is the sucker. It has grown horizontally for some distance, and it will rise obliquely as I have told, and it will develop adventitious root as it is labeled over here. And the interesting thing is that from one sucker 2 or more plants can develop. Okay, so that was sucker. Let us move on to the next classification, which is the rhizome. So what is the rhizome? First, to understand rhizome, the first thing we need to do is clear off this part so that I have some space, right? Okay, rhizome. What happens in the rhizome is that, as always, there will be a plant, and I will draw a plant, just the old diagram of plant quickly, and then there will be always an underground part of the stem, but this time this underground part of the stem will not develop any branch. So what will it do? It will store food, as roots also store food. In this time, in rhizome, the stem will store food. Pretty interesting. Let us see. This underground stem will bulge, it will store food, and it will get thick or fat and it will form an irregular structure which will grow most of the time horizontally in the plant. Alright, so this structure will store the food, and it can, this is the food storage area or the sink where the food will be made in the leaves, and it will be transported through the phloem into this stem, underground stem. But another main feature which can be said about this underground stem is that it will be perennial. Okay, so the interesting thing is that the plant which grows over this stem is not perennial, it is annual, means it will die in 1 year. But the stem which has developed underground is perennial, so it can live for many years, or 10 to 15 years you can say. So what happens is that if this plant dies off also, then this after if this plant does not get good climatic conditions, then this plant may not survive. So this plant, let's say it may not survive, so let's say it is gone. Let's say it is gone. So what happens is that whenever the conditions will be good for the growth of a plant, this ginger, or the example is ginger, this stem, underground stem, is still there, and whenever it will get the good climatic conditions, then it can again form a bud from it, and it can again form a plant. Okay, pretty interesting. And this is the underground stem, and it will possess some roots also. Okay, and the roots will be very reduced, and it will be present like this. They are obviously the adventitious roots. Okay, and there will be nodes and internodes also present over there, like that. There will be branching also. What do I mean by branching? So if this is the stem, this can develop some branch like that. So this structure looks pretty much like the ginger. If you must have seen a ginger, and the example is correct, it is a ginger. Okay, ginger is type of a rhizome only. Okay, what can be other examples of such a plant, such a type of rhizome? It can be turmeric, it can be kanna. Okay, so there, kanna is a common name, it is not a scientific name. So let me write down. Okay, it will not clear. Let me write down the example, and then we will see some pictures. Okay, so example can be ginger, it can be turmeric, and it can be kanna as well. Okay, so that was it. Let us see if I have some pictures over there. Let me search it, and yes, you can see over here. If it is not visible, let me bring it to the top. Over there, this picture, you can see over here clearly the ginger. Let's say it is uprooted plant, so you will not find the soil. Let me make a soil. Okay, so let me give a separation of the underground and the above ground part, and let's say this is the underground part. This ginger is a rhizome which has developed, and you can see more than one stem or more than one plant has developed from the same ginger. So what has happened, as I told, this ginger is perennial, but the plant is an annual. So what happens is that this ginger can develop buds, and then this ginger can develop more plants from it, and in turn again, when the plant will develop, it will again perform photosynthesis, and then it will again store food, and then the ginger will again grow, and then like this, the ginger can cause the ginger plant to survive for many years. Okay, so we do not have to plant the ginger plant again and again. It can just grow, and you will see that there is nothing in the soil, but you will see that during the rainy season most of the time the ginger plant has grown from nowhere, but if you see, if you dig a little bit in the soil, you will find that the ginger is still there. That's why the ginger plant is growing. So I hope it is clear. Let me remove this picture from here and let me move on to the next topic. So we have finished the rhizome. Now let us talk about the corm. The corm is somewhat like the ginger only. So let me not clear the total thing. Let me clear this example. And let me clear this part. Okay, now what about the corm? The corm will be it will not contain any branch like that of the rhizome, as I told, but it will be a somewhat spherical in structure. Okay, or it is most of the time spherical, or it is almost spherical, and it is compressed. What do I mean by compressed? You will find that the nodes are not spaced very far away from one another, but they are very much close to one another. I will show you the picture. Okay, so they will be very close to one another. A distinguishing feature is that it will not contain any branches from it. It will be spherical, and it will be very condensed structure, spherical condensed structure. All right, so what can be example of corm? Corm example can be, first let me show you a picture. This picture, you can see this is a spherical corm. Let's bring it to the front. I think it is not visible in the video. Okay, in this picture you can see that this is a spherical corm. Okay, and this is the picture of colocasia. It is a scientific name. Okay, and you can see the nodes. If not very clearly, if you are seeing in high resolution, you can maybe see it clearly, but let me highlight it over here. There is nodes over there. Okay, these are nodes, and you can see that these things have no branches also. And you can, if you observe it, you will see some scars over here, this way here. This will be just means the scars develop because at some point of time here a leaf was there which has fallen down, and due to the breaking of this leaf, a scar mark is there on this vegetable. Maybe it is a vegetable. Okay, so that was colocasia. So you have already got one example of, what do we say, corm. And now let me enlist some more examples of corm. And examples can be as always. Let me first write down. Let me make the italics. Colocasia. It can be freesia. Okay, freesia. These are all scientific names. It's better you remember them because it comes in exams. And then it can be crocus. These are genus name. Okay, the species is not so specific over here, so specify. It can be amorphophallus. It can be gladiolus. So I have already given 5. I have enlisted 3. 3 are important over here, and so we have discussed about the corm. Now let me move on to the bulb. Now the bulb, sorry, where is the free form selection tool? Yes, this is the, let me again remove this diagram over here, and let me now make another fresh diagram. Alright, for the bulb, to explain the bulb, there will be again a plant which is not so important. This is the always present plant, so I can draw it just like that, and in the bulb it will be, the underground part of the stem will be again spherical. but and it will contain adventi fibrous roots at the bottom. And a very common example of bulb is onion. Okay, now the bulb can be of two types. It can be compound tunicated bulb or the simple tunicated bulb, and the onion is an example of the simple tunicated bulb. Let me explain them one by one. So what is the compound tunicated bulb? In the compound tunicated bulb, what happens is that if there is a bulb, okay, so there are concentric, this bulb is not a circle, I am showing a cross section of it, but if you visualize it in 3D, you will see that it is a sphere, and there will be concentric spheres like that. If you have ever seen an onion, you will find a dry scale over it, and when you remove that dry scale, you will find that fleshy concentric spheres one over the another. You remove one sphere, you will see another sphere. You will remove one sphere, you will see another sphere also, you will see another sphere, and like that it will continue until it reaches the center. So like that, the arrangement is called the simple tunicated bulb. Then this was the onion. And what is the compound tunicated bulb? The example of compound tunicated bulb is that of the garlic. Okay, so in that, let me explain by help of a diagram. So I have good pictures over here. You can, if you are not able to see this onion very well, let me bring it to the front, and you can see if we cut the onion from here, if we make it half, if we cut this half portion over there out, then we will get something like this. Okay, and you can see that the layers of the onion very clearly over there, like that. It will be layered like that, as I explained. So that will be the simple tunicated bulb. Then what will be the compound tunicated bulb? It is present in the garlic. Okay, as you can see in the garlic, you can see these structures get combined. Okay, and these structures in total form the total garlic, and these structures are called the cloves. Okay, what are they called? Let me write them down. They are called the cloves. Okay, and all the cloves combine together and form a bulb like structure, which is the compound tunicated bulb, and this is the garlic. Okay, so we have got the two examples of bulb, and we have also studied the classification of bulb, which is simple tunicated and compound tunicated based on the structure. And let's now move on to the stem tubers. Clear this off over here. I think we should not clear this plant because we have to draw it again, just a time waste. Okay, so let me clear this structure off. A special feature about the stem tubers is that example is potato, and the special feature is that it does not bear the fibrous root at the bottom. Still now we have been discussing the rhizome, the corm, and the bulb. They are all the modification, or they are all the forms of underground stem, and they are formed due to the storage of food. Alright, the stem tubers are also formed due to the storage of food, and they do not contain any roots or fibrous root, more specifically at their base. So if I draw a potato over here, the fibrous roots will not be present. Then if you see the potato, raw potato, which is raw means in the sense it is just taken off from the agricultural field, you will find that there are scars and there are buds also over in the potato, and these structures are called the eyes of the potato. Okay, so let me give a diagram or give a picture which will show these eyes of the potato very clearly. So in this picture you can see, let me first make it okay. In this picture you can see that there is a scar over here. This scar is, as always, as I discussed in the previous, in some minutes before, there will be a leaf over here at some point of time, but this leaf will shear off from the potato, and this removing of the leaf will cause a scar over there, and there will be some buds, as you can see over there. You might have observed it in the house the potatoes present in a house also, but it is very much obvious to observe it when you just remove it from the agricultural field. Okay, so that there will be scars, there will be buds in the potato, and they are called the eyes of the potato. So let me write down. So these structures are called the eyes of the potato. Eyes of the potato. Okay. So we have discussed in detail all the types of classification of the underground stem, the sucker, the rhizome, the corm, the bulb, and the stem tubers, and we have completed the stem part. And in the next videos we will move on to the leaf, and we will understand the leaf. Okay, so thanks for watching. Bye.